For 2 decades, LeBron James has ruled basketball not just with his game, but with his power off the court. Everywhere he's gone, he's had one weapon no other player could use like him: leverage. LeBron could bend an entire franchise to his will. He signed short contracts, kept player options open, and always made sure the threat of leaving hung in the air. Teams knew that if LeBron walked out the door, they weren't just losing a superstar, they were losing hundreds of millions in franchise value. That fear alone kept organizations desperate to give him everything he wanted. Make this trade. Sign this player. Move those picks. Do it, or LeBron walks. And usually, the deal worked out. The Cavs, the Heat, the Lakers, they all got banners in exchange for bending to his demands. LeBron's control was absolute. But today, things are different. For the first time in his legendary career, LeBron doesn't hold the cards. The Lakers simply don't care if he leaves. That is a situation LeBron has never been in before. Think back to when he first joined the Lakers in 2018. This was a desperate franchise at rock bottom. 5 straight years of missing the playoffs. Some of the worst records in team history. A proud dynasty had fallen into its darkest era, and they needed him badly. LeBron's arrival immediately gave them relevance, power, and eventually another championship. At that point, the partnership made perfect sense. But now? It's the opposite. The Lakers don't need him anymore the way Cleveland or Miami once did. They don't need him the way they did back in 2018. This isn't the same franchise begging LeBron to save them. This is the Lakers, one of the most powerful brands in sports. They know that with or without him, they'll move forward. They have future picks to protect, they have long-term cap space in mind, and they are preparing for the next wave of stars. And that's the real reason everything feels so strange right now. LeBron's ultimate superpower, his ability to control franchises with the threat of leaving, has vanished. For the first time ever, the leverage is gone. The Lakers are no longer afraid. And for LeBron James, that changes everything. When LeBron James first joined the Lakers in 2018, the shift in power wasn't just obvious, it was overwhelming. This was a franchise in the middle of its darkest era, 5 straight years of missing the playoffs. They had the cap space, they had desperation, and then LeBron showed up. Within a year, Anthony Davis arrived, and suddenly, the Lakers were champions again. At that moment, LeBron and his camp weren't just part of the organization, they were controlling it. For a while, it felt like LeBron had recreated the same blueprint that worked everywhere else. The Lakers were throwing around future first-round picks, making aggressive, all-in moves to maximize his window. Even after the title, when the roster cracked, LeBron convinced them that trading for Russell Westbrook was the solution. He had influence over the coaching position, the roster decisions, and the entire identity of the franchise. But then, something shifted. The Lakers stopped making those typical LeBron-style sacrifices. They weren't desperate anymore. And then came the move that completely changed everything. Trading Anthony Davis, LeBron's closest partner, to the Mavericks in exchange for Luka Dončić. From a pure basketball standpoint, it was a brilliant trade. Luka is a generational superstar, someone who can carry the Lakers into the future. But for LeBron, it was the clearest sign yet that the team was no longer revolving around him. The proof came quickly. With LeBron, the Lakers had been reluctant to throw away more future first-round picks. But with Luka? They instantly started flipping assets to build around him, adding players to fit his style, including an athletic lob-threat big that Luka demanded. The message couldn't have been louder, this wasn't the LeBron Lakers anymore. It was the Luka Lakers. Of course, you can argue the logic makes sense. LeBron and Davis were aging, struggling with health, and nearing the twilight of their prime. The Lakers wanted to protect their future while they still could. But the bigger picture here is what makes this moment so strange. In every stop of LeBron's career, teams bent to his will until the very end. Look back at Cleveland the first time. They stacked the roster with veterans he wanted, only stopping short on a few extreme deals. In Miami, LeBron wasn't just a player, he was the architect, forming the big three with Wade and Bosh and even influencing draft picks like Shabazz Napier. Back in Cleveland the second time, he orchestrated the Kevin Love trade, sacrificing the #1 pick in Andrew Wiggins to build a win-now roster. And when he left those teams, it wasn't because they stopped listening to him, it was because he saw a better chance to win somewhere else. The Lakers are different. After years of power, the control is slipping away. And the fact that he's been in LA longer than anywhere else, 8 seasons, the longest run of his career, only magnifies the shift. For the first time, LeBron isn't dictating terms. The Lakers have moved on from living under his leverage, and that's a situation he has never faced before. Having LeBron James on your team is a blessing, but it can also be exhausting. The attention is massive, the spotlight is non-stop, but the pressure that comes with it? That can break a franchise. 4 years, the Lakers have lived under that constant weight. Every season felt like a gamble with the future, pushing all chips to the middle just to give LeBron another chance at a championship, even as he grew older and less capable of carrying an entire team by himself. That level of pressure wears you down, and it's no surprise the Lakers eventually started to feel fatigue. They began to question if they could keep mortgaging their future for a version of LeBron who wasn't quite the same superhuman force anymore. At the same time, LeBron's own history tells the story. He's never been afraid to leave when the timing felt right. 7 years in Cleveland the first time, 4 years in Miami, 4 more back in Cleveland. Each departure came for the same reason. After years of all-in moves, the bill would eventually come due, the roster would age, the flexibility would vanish, and LeBron would see a better opportunity elsewhere. That pattern defined his career. But with the Lakers, that hasn't happened. The reason is simple: Los Angeles. When LeBron chose the Lakers in 2018, it wasn't just about basketball. Sure, the cap space, the young talent, and eventually the chance to trade for Anthony Davis mattered. But let's be real, if that exact situation had existed in a smaller market, there's almost no chance he would have gone. The draw of LA was too strong. It's where his family wanted to be, where his businesses could thrive, where his life outside of basketball could take off. That off-court foundation became just as important as what was happening on the floor. And because of that, LeBron has never truly entertained leaving the Lakers. He likes being a Laker. He likes being in LA. With potentially just 1 year left in his career, jumping ship no longer makes sense. The constant chasing of a better basketball situation has been replaced by stability and location. That's why, despite all the ups and downs, he's remained anchored in Los Angeles. There's another factor too: the NBA itself has changed. Back in the 2010s, free agency was everything. Teams would save cap space for years just to make a run at LeBron or another superstar. That era is gone. Now, cap space is tighter, and the path to building a contender is less about chasing stars in free agency and more about trades and drafting. Even if LeBron wanted to play the old game of jumping from city to city, the opportunities just haven't been there. There was no perfect landing spot like Miami in 2010 or Cleveland in 2014. With Anthony Davis by his side, there was always hope that the Lakers could contend if health cooperated. And so, year after year, the best option for LeBron wasn't leaving. It was staying. 4 years, every summer with LeBron James meant speculation. Where's he going next? Who's he teaming up with? What franchise is about to gamble their future for him? But this time, that big free agency drama never truly materialized. At least, not until LeBron himself made things weird. He released a cryptic statement that sparked rumors everywhere. Suddenly, people were convinced he might actually leave the Lakers. And here's the crazy part: in theory, he could have. He had the opportunity to decline his massive player option, walk into free agency, and sign anywhere. Dallas to reunite with Kyrie and AD, Miami for one last Heat reunion, maybe even the Warriors or Clippers. The entire league could have been on the table. But he didn't. He stayed in Los Angeles. The reason wasn't basketball. It was money. His player option was enormous, far more than any team would have realistically paid him if he hit free agency. Declining it would have meant leaving tens of millions of dollars on the table. And at this stage in his career, LeBron wasn't about to do that. So, despite being visibly unhappy with the Lakers' current basketball situation, he chose to stay. Which honestly makes it even funnier that he stirred up all the speculation in the first place. He created the buzz, but never had any intention of following through. After that, the conversation shifted to trades. Could the Lakers move him? Would he demand it? But here's the thing: LeBron has never truly wanted to be traded. Ever. Technically, yes, he was traded to the Miami Heat in 2010, but that was just paperwork to make the cap math work. It wasn't the same as an Anthony Davis-style demand. And there are two big reasons why LeBron has always avoided that path. First, scars from the decision. The backlash from 2010 was a PR nightmare. He still carries those wounds and has no interest in reliving that kind of public anger. But second, and maybe more importantly, it's just not smart basketball. A trade for LeBron would mean gutting a team's roster, leaving him with fewer weapons once he arrives. That goes against everything he's about. Remember, when he joined Miami, Cleveland, and later the Lakers, it was always through free agency. Those teams didn't have to give up assets to land him, which left the cupboards full for LeBron to help shape championship rosters. If teams had been forced to trade for him, the outcomes would have been far less successful. And now, here we are. LeBron appears ready to gear up for what could be his final season with the Lakers, and maybe even the NBA. But the situation is unlike anything he's experienced before. The Lakers aren't on his timeline anymore. They're on Luka's. LeBron is no longer the star of the movie, he's the supporting character. The Lakers know it, and so does he. That's why this year could get messy. If the Lakers stumble, trade rumors could resurface. If LeBron struggles to accept his new role, he could become a distraction. Either way, the NBA is entering uncharted territory, a season where LeBron James isn't the one calling the shots. Could we actually see a mid-season LeBron James trade? At first, it sounds crazy. But if you really think about it, it wouldn't be all that shocking. LeBron has been here before. He's done the passive-aggressive thing with teams, sent subtle messages through the media, and at times even become the distraction that defined a season. If he wanted to, LeBron could completely shift the Lakers season with just a few words or actions. That's the wild part about this stage of his career. He isn't the main guy anymore, yet his presence still carries weight that could flip the entire franchise upside down. This year feels like one of the most unique seasons of LeBron's career. On one hand, it has the energy of a farewell tour. On the other, he could still play next season and hit 2026 free agency as one of the most valuable veterans in the game. The Lakers, though? They don't seem to care whether he stays or goes. And the twist, LeBron isn't even riding with Anthony Davis as his ultimate co-star anymore. He's playing alongside Luka Dončić. Think about that. Luka is one of the most unstoppable forces in the NBA today, and the Lakers somehow landed him. The crazy part is that even though Luka and LeBron aren't the cleanest fit compared to LeBron and AD, this is exactly the type of blockbuster move you'd expect from an all-in Lakers team trying to win before LeBron walks away. This might be the boldest trade of LeBron's entire career. An unbelievable stroke of fortune that Dallas even allowed it to happen. And while the roster around Luka isn't flawless, this isn't about development. Luka's not 20 anymore. The Lakers are going to throw everything into winning with him, just like teams did for LeBron in his prime. This should work. But here's the tension. After 2 decades of being the guy, of running everything his way, LeBron is now adjusting to life in Luka's shadow. If he embraces it, it could be the perfect ending to his career. But if he resists? We might be headed for the most dramatic LeBron season yet.